राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ जय वंशपात परमंश परिव्राजकाचार्य सुतर सदस्यमान भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्ति वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंड की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। नववेद भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the Asma. All glories to the Asma. All glories to the Asma. Thank you very much.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maha-Bharata Part 1, Chapter 8, Gatotkacha born and Baka slain. Part 2. One day, as they sat in the forest by their sacred fire, Vyasadeva came to see the Pandavas. After being received with due worship, the rishi sat down and said, I have been aware of the Kauravas' unjust behavior towards you. Although I see both the Kauravas and yourselves equally, I feel a greater affection for you brothers due to your misfortune. I have therefore come here wishing to do you some good. Vyasadeva informed them of a nearby village called Ekachakra. He instructed them to live there for some time, saying that he would come again to give them further directions. The rishi then reassured the sorrowing Kunti. Oh, your sons in time will rule the world. The virtuous Yudhishthir, protected by his powerful brothers, will certainly become king, and soon he will perform the great Rajasuya sacrifice, thus establishing himself as emperor of the entire globe. Vyasadeva personally led them all to Ekachakra. He brought them to the house of a Brahmana, where they were received as guests. Vyasadeva then took his leave, telling them again that he would return before long. The Pandavas surveyed their new abode. The little village of Ekachakra was situated amid beautiful woodlands. The Brahmana had kindly given the brothers 2 rooms in his house for their residence. The Brahmana had taken a vow that he would always receive any travelers who came to his door. By day, the Pandavas went about the village begging for food, and due to their gentleness and humility, the Pandavas soon became dear to the people. Everyone accepted them as wandering ascetics, staying briefly in the village, and so they gladly gave them alms. Every night, the brothers offered their mother whatever alms had been collected. Kunti would then prepare their meal. Half of the food was given to Bheema, and the rest was divided among the other 4 brothers and Kunti Devi herself. When the brothers would go out begging, a different one of them would remain behind each day just to protect Kunti. One particular day, it was Bheema's turn to stay back. He was sitting with his mother when they heard loud crying in the house. Hearing the piteous lamentations, Kunti's heart was moved, and she spoke to Bheema. "O son, due to this Brahmana's kindness, we are living here peacefully, with no fear of Duryodhana and his brothers. I am always thinking how we might repay this gentle Brahmana. For a virtuous man should always return the good done to him with an even greater good. Perhaps now our chance has come." Kunti could understand that the Brahmana had fallen into some great distress. Bheema told her to try to ascertain the cause. Bheema would then try to remove it, no matter how difficult the task it may prove to be. Kunti slipped quietly into the inner apartments where the Brahmana lived with his family. She stood by the door unnoticed, while the Brahmana and his wife and children sat down with downcast faces. And as Kunti watched, the Brahmana spoke to his wife. "Fie upon this wretched life! which affords one only misery. To live is only to experience nothing but disease and pain. Pursuing religion, wealth, and pleasure, one has to endeavor very much, but receives very little happiness. And salvation is quite an impossible goal to achieve. Those who desire riches suffer, while those who have riches suffer even more. Alas, why do I even live? Kunti listened in silence as the Brahmana continued to condemn himself and his misfortune. The Brahmana spoke of a terrible danger that had befallen them. His wife was weeping as he censured and rebuked her, blaming their present predicament upon her wish to remain in the village due to affection for her now dead relatives. The Brahmana held his head in anguish. How can I abandon you just to save my own life? You were given to me by your parents, so it is my duty to protect you. And you have always served me and borne my children. Why, in no way can I let you go, nor can I abandon my only son and daughter. So I shall go, or maybe we should all die together. The Brahmana fell to the ground sobbing. His wife lifted him gently and said, "Oh, this lamentation does not befit a learned man like yourself. No one should lament inevitable death, nor shall you or our children die. I shall go. Indeed, a woman's highest duty lies in sacrificing her own life just to serve her husband. Undoubtedly, such an act will confer upon me regions of eternal bliss." Now Kunti was curious. The Brahmana's wife continued to implore her husband to allow her to die. She said that neither she nor her children could possibly survive in his absence. If she were left to be a widow, she would become prey to dishonorable men who would only seek her out, just as crows descend upon a piece of meat left on the ground. How then could she protect their two young children and keep them on the path of truth and virtue? She folded her hands, begging her husband for permission to leave. After all, he could then accept another wife, while she would earn undying religious merits by her final service. The Brahmana simply sat with his head in his hands, making no reply. Then his daughter began speaking. "Oh, Father, why are you sorrowful when after all you still have me? Allow me to go and thus save yourself. Is it not the child's duty to save the parent? This is why the wise have called one's child Putra, one who delivers the parents from hell. My duty is to bear a son who will offer sacred Shraddha to the forefathers. But by the grace of Providence, I may now serve my forefathers by saving you. O Father, one day you will have to abandon me. Therefore, do not hesitate to do so now." The girl wept along with her parents. Then the Brahmana's small son said in broken language, "None of you should cry. Send me, and I shall kill that cannibal Rakshasa within a moment." The boy smiled and brandished a piece of long grass as if it were a weapon. Although they were all grief-stricken, They all laughed at the young boy's words. Kunti took the sudden change of mood as an opportunity to inquire about the cause of their distress. Could she do anything to help? The Brahmana then explained that their grief could not be removed by any human being. The country where they lived was protected from enemies by a powerful Rakshasa named Baka. He had long terrorized the people who found no protection from their weak king. The Rakshasa would come whenever he wanted and kill them for his food. So finally the people went to Baka, proposing that if he would stop attacking them at will, then each week one of them would go to him with a large cartload of food. In turn, he should protect them from attackers. The cannibal agreed, but demanded that he also eat the man who delivered the food. The Brahmana then told Kunti that the turn of each man in their country came only after many years. But tomorrow it was his turn. He did not know what to do. He could not leave his young family alone, nor could he send them to their deaths. Therefore they would all go to meet the demon. Perhaps Baka would show compassion and spare them, or they would all be devoured at once. Then Kunti said, "I see a means by which you may be delivered from this fear. Although you have but 2 children, I have 5 sons. Therefore, let one of them go with the Rakshasa's tribute." The Brahmana was shocked. "I could never cause the death of a guest just to save my own life. Why, even the most sinful man would not do this. Rather, one should sacrifice himself and his children just for the sake of a Brahmana guest." Kunti was grave. "Yes, I am of the same opinion, that Brahmanas should always be protected. But you need not fear for my son. That Rakshasa will not be able to kill him, for he is powerful and knows the science of mantras." Kunti then told the Brahmana that she had already seen her son kill a powerful Rakshasa, so Baka would not prove to be a problem for him. She asked the Brahmana not to disclose to anyone else what she had just told him, for if others learned of her son's powers, surely they would harass him for his knowledge, and subsequently the power of the mantras would be diminished if they were given to others. The Brahmana looked very carefully at the expression on Kunti's face. Obviously, she was speaking the truth. Her son must surely possess some extraordinary powers. With tears in his eyes, he agreed to her suggestion. Kunti then went to Bheema, telling him everything. She asked him to go to Baka. Bheema agreed at once. His eyes lit up at the thought that he would be able to exercise his strength, while at the same time show gratitude to the gentle Brahmana and his family. And just as Kunti and Bheema finished speaking, the other Pandavas returned. Yudhishthira caught Bheema's eye, sensing at once that his younger brother was contemplating something wonderful. Yudhishthira sat down by his mother and quietly asked, "Tell me, what does Bheema have on his mind? It seems he is about to do some extraordinary deed. Is it something you have ordered, or is it some plan of his own? So, Kunti told her son what had transpired. When Yudhishthir learned that Bhima was about to go and meet Baka, he became alarmed. "Oh, mother, you have made this Brahmana a rash promise. Surely it is never sanctioned to sacrifice one's own son for that of another. All my hopes of overpowering Dhritarashtra's sons and regaining the kingdom are dependent on Bhima's power." Kunti smiled slightly and reassured Yudhishthir. She reminded him of Bhima's superhuman prowess, how even as an infant he had crushed a great rock to powder, how Bhima had easily carried all of them through the forest while running at the speed of the wind, how Bhima had slain the immensely strong Hidimba. "No, my son, it was not out of foolishness that I made my offer to the Brahmana, for it is always the duty of a ruler to protect the Brahmanas. And by this act, we will achieve two things. We will reward the Brahmana's kindness toward us, and we will earn much religious merit." Kunti told Yudhishthir that she had been wondering just how to repay the Brahmana for some time. This opportunity was obviously the arrangement of providence for them. Yudhishthir pondered Kunti's words. Looking across at the smiling Bhima, he replied, "You have spoken correctly. Your decision is well considered. Because of your compassion toward the Brahmana, Bhima will surely kill the demon Baka. But you must ensure that no one comes to know that it was him." Yudhishthir was not sure if the Kauravas knew that he and his brothers were still alive. Their spies would soon inform them of Baka's death, and they may well suspect that it was Bhima who had killed the demon. After all, few were capable of killing such a powerful Rakshasa. That night, while the village slept, Bhima quietly left the Brahmana's house. He drove the cart loaded with food toward the forest where Baka dwelt. The aroma of the food was overpowering. Now, after living for so long on meager forest fare and whatever alms the brothers were able to collect, Bhima became ravenous. He started to eat the food from the cart. And on his way into the forest, he shouted, "Baka! Baka! Baka!" The Rakshasa heard Bhima's approach and became inflamed with anger. He ran toward the Pandava yelling, "I am Baka! I am Baka!" Bhima then saw Baka emerge from among the trees. The earth resounded with his footsteps, and his shouts were deafening. He had a huge body, red eyes, red beard, and red hair. His mouth opened from ear to ear, and his forehead was furrowed into 3 lines as he looked upon Bhima eating his food. Baka stopped near the cart and thundered, "Who is this fool who desires to be dispatched at once to the abode of death by eating in my presence the food intended for me?" But Bhima instead glanced derisively at the Rakshasa and smiled. He ignored his challenge and continued eating. Baka roared in fury. He rushed at Bhima with his arms upraised. Still, the Pandava continued eating. Baka brought his 2 fists down upon Bheema's back with the force of a thunderbolt. Without flinching, Bheema went on eating. He did not even look at the Rakshasa. Baka roared once again and tore up a huge tree. As he whirled it above his head, Bheema stood up and washed his hands from the pitcher of water which was on the cart. Then, leaping down from the cart, Bheema faced the infuriated demon. Baka hurled the tree at Bheema with all of his strength. Bheema smilingly caught it in his left hand and threw it back at Baka. The Rakshasa then uprooted one tree after another, hurling them at Bheema, who caught each of them and sent them back. Soon, the whole area was cleared of trees. Screaming out his own name again and again, Baka threw himself upon Bheema, seizing him. Bheema also gripped the demon with his own powerful arms. The two dragged each other violently, each trying to kick the other's legs out from underneath him. Then they fell to the ground, still locked in one another's arms. They rolled about, making the ground tremble. Bheema then tightened his grip. Repeatedly, Bheema smashed the demon's head with his own forehead. Gradually, Baka became tired. Bheema pulled free of his grasp and pounded the demon with his fists. Bheema pressed down on Baka's chest with his knees and struck him crushing blows which made the earth shake. Baka fell unconscious, and Bheema rolled Baka onto his stomach. Placing one knee on his back, Bheema seized Baka's neck with one hand and his waistcloth with the other. With much force, Bheema broke the demon's back into 2. And as Baka vomited blood, he let out a fearful yell which filled the forest. Baka was now dead. Hearing him scream, Baka's friends and relatives came out of their houses. They looked with horror at his mountainous form lying in a pool of blood. Bheema reassured the other terrified Rakshasas that he was not going to attack them. This Rakshasa has been killed due to his excessive fondness of human flesh. But I must warn you, you should all give up killing human beings. Otherwise, the same fate awaits you all. All of the Rakshasas immediately agreed to obey Bheema's instruction. They then ran from that place, leaving Bheema and the dead body of Baka. And from that time on, the people of Ekachakra noticed that the Rakshasas had now become peaceful towards them. Bheema then lifted the dead body of Baka and placed it on the cart. Unseen by anyone, Bheema deposited the dead body of Baka by the town gates and then returned to the Brahmana's house. Kunti and his other brothers were relieved to see him, and Bheema described to them all that had happened. Achintya kalu ye bhava natang starkena yojayet prakritibhya parang yachcha tad achintyasya lakshanam. Anything transcendental to material nature is called achintya, inconceivable, whereas arguments are all mundane. Since mundane arguments cannot touch achintya or transcendental subject matters, One should not try to understand such things through mundane arguments. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Klada Dayane. Prahlada Klada Dayane. Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha. Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha. Shilatankana Halaye. Shilatankana Halaye. Ito Nrsimha Bharato Nrsimho. Ito Nrsimha Bharato Nrsimho. Yato, yato, yamikato, Nrsimha. Yato, yato, yamikato, Nrsimha. Bahir Nrsimho, Hridaye Nrsimho. Bahir Nrsimho, Hridaye Nrsimho. Nrsimhamadi Sharanam Prabhaji. Nrsimhamadi Sharanam Prabhaji. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Avakara Kamalava Rei Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Indranya Kashipu Chanuvringam Eshavadvita Narahadi Rupa Jagadisha Rei Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Avakara Kamalava Rei Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Ranya Kashipu Chanuvringam Keshavadvita Narahadi Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadita Nrsimha Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The time has come for you and me to have a transcendental party. The Hare Krishnas are on parade. They call it Rath-yatra Day. And the music just can't be beat. They'll be dancing in the streets. You can help to pull the carts. You'd better hurry, it's about to start. Festival of the Chariots. You know it's really neat when the Lord of the universe is coming down Main Street. At the park there'll be a feast. It's ecstatic to say the least. And we'll be chanting the whole day through. What have you got to lose? Festival of the Chariots. You know it's really neat when the Lord of the universe is coming down Main Street. And riding on the carts will be Lord Jagannath with his sister Subhadra. The gopis continued to pray, "Dear Krishna, we are always busy in our family affairs. We therefore request that you remain within our hearts as the rising sun, and that will be your greatest benediction upon us." So we should always remember that the gopis are liberated souls eternally because they are fully in Krishna consciousness. They only pretended to be entangled in household affairs in Vrindavan. Because of their separation from Krishna, he might have asked them to return with him to his capital city, Dwaraka, when they met at Kurukshetra after a long time. But the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis, were not interested in the idea of going with Krishna to Dwaraka. No, they wanted to remain busy in Vrindavan and thus feel the presence of Krishna in every step of their lives. So immediately they invited Krishna to come back to Vrindavan with them. This transcendental emotional existence of the gopis is the basic principle of Lord Chaitanya's teaching. The Ratha Yatra festival observed by Lord Chaitanya is the emotional process of taking Krishna back to Vrindavan. Srimati Radharani refused to go with Krishna to Dwaraka to enjoy his company in the atmosphere of royal opulence, for she wants to enjoy Krishna's company in the original Vrindavan atmosphere. Lord Krishna, being profoundly attached to the gopis, never goes away from Vrindavan, and the gopis and other residents of Vrindavan remain fully satisfied in Krishna consciousness, even in feelings of separation from Krishna.